Coming on in. Of course, it's Mr. Nathan Hansberger. All right, you guys, we are at the top of the hour, so we're going to go ahead and get started. All right. Thank you so very much for being here for our Tuesday night, April ILCA challenge. My name is Marnita, your Queen Connectress Casa, and I will be your humble hostess for this evening. Now, it is my honor to introduce you all to a man that for over 25 years dominated the direct sales industry. His cryptocurrency education is being used by companies and universities worldwide. Now, for over 6 years, he had dedicated his life to learning about cryptocurrency and blockchain technology, but he didn't just stop there. He decided to go out, share this information with the masses, and he did this by putting on fun and exciting Bitcoin boot camps nationwide at no cost. He has built thriving communities and wonderful platforms like you see before you now. So without further ado, it is my honor to introduce you all to Mr. Brandon Ivey.
All right. Thank you for that introduction, Miss Casa. Oh no, my video is all messing up. Okay, I know how to correct that. I'll do that when I bring up our panelists. So welcome everybody. Thank you for our hostess, Miss Marnita Casa, for welcoming all of you guys. This is our day 2 of the 5-day challenge. I am streaming on Facebook Live. I just got a notification from Zoom that they changed the Facebook changed the API. So the connection to the private group is no longer connected the right way. So I am streaming publicly, but I shared into our 5-day challenge group. So anybody in all of our groups will be able to participate tonight, just like last night, until they get that part fixed. So this is day 2. Last night we went back to the basics. What is cryptocurrency? And for right now, I'm going to turn off my camera until I do a reset. But we are going back to the basics, and the basics after the 5-day or the Bitcoin halving about what is cryptocurrency. There's a lot of new interest into the space. The Bitcoin ETFs are here. Bitcoin itself is over $1 trillion in market value, and the world is starting to pay attention as Bitcoin creeped well past $70,000 this year. And now we have more to come, because this is not when the all-time high is supposed to happen. It's not supposed to happen until at least next year. So we are in uncharted territories. So I welcome all of you, those of you on Facebook. I see you, Darlene. Darlene was invited by Rita. All right, welcome, Darlene. We hope that you're going to be able to learn some new information tonight, and welcome to our ILCA community. So welcome everybody. So let's jump right on into it. I want to bring up our special guest panelist tonight. This is a gentleman that I also have a lot of respect for. He's been around almost from the beginning when I started talking about crypto. He was a part of my crypto talks well before I even created any type of crypto courses and started consulting. He was there from the beginning back in 2018 and beyond. So I want to bring up a brother who not only has taken this crypto education seriously, but also has taken action in the crypto space. And one of the projects that he was a part of, he was able to walk off his job from the success of that project. And it's a project I turned down. One of the biggest crypto mistakes of my career. I passed on it. He jumped on it and benefited heavily from it. He's a pillar of our community. He's always there to help out anybody that needs help. So I want to introduce you guys to Mr. Pelvis Lofties to share your story, why you believe crypto education is so important, and where you see this going in the future. So welcome everybody to Mr. Pelvis Lofties.
Good evening, fam. Good evening. How's everybody doing? Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes, sir. The floor is yours.
Great. So please excuse me. I'm a little like stuffy or whatever. It's doggone allergies are killing me. So, but it's my pleasure to be here, or I'm honored to be here. And pretty much everybody knows me within the community on ILCA. So I don't need to rehash that story. But a quick synopsis of where I came from. I'm just a country boy from the sticks of Tennessee. Graduated in 1988, went into the Navy, did full 20 plus years in that, retired from that, and did some work for the government. And here I am. Got into cryptocurrency late fall of 2017, and it was because of Brandon. And you know, Brandon, I started listening to Brandon on YouTube, and I ran across this project. I'm gonna talk a little bit about this project called BitConnect. Now I'm taking it way back, and Brandon mentioned how long I've been around him, and how much he's affected my life, how much this community that we've grown into, has affected my life, and it's affected my life and so many others' lives as well. But what I want to drill down on specifically is, and this is more so for the people on the Facebook side and anyone else that may be still skeptical about crypto and blockchain technology. You don't know what you don't know. Just remember that. You don't know what you don't know. And one of our rules that we have is education is key, education is everything. And it starts with education. Herschel mentioned last night, and he talked about, having crypto buddies. And that's what I'm gonna drill down on tonight. So I'm gonna give you 6 key factors of having, or how beneficial it is to have a crypto buddy. And for those of you that don't know, Brandon is everybody's crypto buddies. But we've got a whole community, this whole community on the ILCA side, on the Zoom side, we're all your crypto buddies, because it's just what I just said. It's a community. So you got to understand, we can lean on each other. I'm going to cover some of these points and these key points I'm about to mention. So, having a crypto buddy in cryptocurrency space, it can incredibly value for several reasons, making it an important aspect of navigating through this complex and rapidly evolving field. So the first one I want to mention, you guys might want to write this down, and that's knowledge sharing. Now, when you become a part of ILCA community, we have a complete sharing of knowledge within the community itself. I mean, I think one of the most valuable assets that's within ILCA is the crypto talks in the morning. And for those of you that know, we uncover so much information, so much, valuable information that's valuable to both the crypto space, the blockchain space, and just cryptocurrency as a whole. What affects cryptocurrency? It may be, political geography. You never know what may affect cryptocurrency, but it has a knack of recovering really quick. So, cryptocurrency and blockchain technology involve a steep learning. It's complex, a steep learning curve. So a crypto buddy can share knowledge, insights, both helping parties stay informed about the latest developments, technologies, and strategies. And that's exactly what, we provide within our crypto community, especially with, our morning crypto talks. So number 2 is risk management. That's one of the things we always had in the military, was risk management. You always want to manage your risk. And education, just like I mentioned a second ago, allows you to manage your risk. Because one of the things that Brandon teaches us, and that he's always said, that the education minimizes your loss. You're going to have loss. You're going to have losses in this, but the education minimizes your loss. It helps you understand the market conditions, market trends, and it helps you get out when it's time to get out, right? So the third one is emotional support. Now, when you start to understand trading, the skill of trading, and I'm not a financial advisor, but I highly recommend, or strongly recommend, that everyone learn the skill of trading, because as we always say, that's one skill that no one can take away from you. Once you learn that, and it's gonna take some time. You can't eat this elephant in one day. Trust me, you can't. It's too much knowledge. It's too much information out there. You may be an expert today, but tomorrow, guess what? you're not, because the information changes just that quickly. So, the emotional support comes into play. The crypto market, like I said, can be it can be volatile and can lead to emotional investing, which you don't want. You want to make smart, clear, concise decisions. And it can potentially result in rash decisions, by being emotional. So you don't want to be emotional. So a crypto buddy acts as a sounding board and provides emotional support during stressful times, helping maintain a level-headed approach. All right. So number 4 is security practices, and we teach this all the time. The importance of security. Maintain your wallets, how to store your wallets. How to store them in a safe. It's so important that you have security because you want to protect your investments, right? So with the high risk of scams, hacks, frauds, having a knowledgeable friend can be crucial in maintaining and enhancing security practices. So us as a community, we may bring a project to the community, but guess what? With our knowledge of being a part of, scams or projects that failed in the past, we've learned a lot of lessons. So just like Herschel was saying last night, he was jealous of each and every one of, everybody that's within this group, simply because when I started, we really didn't have anyone. We had to go to YTU, which is YouTube University, and that's fine on one side, but you don't know if the information has been vetted. You don't know how good that information is, and it could lead you down the wrong path, truly. So the fifth one is networking opportunities, right? So crypto buddies often introduce each other to new opportunities, which we do all the time. So this information that's being provided within our crypto talks, they aren't being just provided by one person or a couple of people. We as a community work leading in one direction, bringing different crypto projects that we maybe think that are viable. Then we look at them and we vet them together. Then that choice is that person's, that individual, if they choose to become a part of that project, right? Because it's so good that we have the community that we have, simply because, hey, I may see something that Brandon may not see, or it may be a problem that Brandon or Marnita, Leonard may not see. So you got to understand, us working together for one goal, in the same direction, it pays off. It's very beneficial. So we have another thing, number 6, that's collaborative learning. So this fast-paced environment and the nature of the cryptocurrency world means that it's a continuous learning, and that continuous learning is essential. It's essential. Education is key, knowledge is key. And once, like I said earlier, you may be an expert today, but you're not tomorrow, simply because this information changes so drastically from day to day. So having a crypto buddy to discuss new information on concepts can deepen understanding and provide different perspectives that enhance learning. So overall, crypto buddy can contribute to more informed, secure, and balanced approach to engaging with the cryptocurrency space, making it a beneficial relationship for enthusiasts and investors alike. So I say all that to say this, and I hope you guys, can take on some of these key points that I talked about. There are many more, but the main reason why I chose those and to expound on those is simply because those key points that I talked about, they basically embody what ILCA is. It encaptures what ILCA is, Ivy League Crypto Academy. And you won't know until you come over to this side, until you immerse yourself in this. You want to change your life? Change your life. Sometimes you got to change the people that are around you in order to change your life. If you don't understand that, look at your surrounding friends. Look at your 5 closest friends. Where are they at as far as financial education? You know, that's one thing about it. And we say this all the time as far as financial education is concerned. We weren't taught that in school. We were taught go to school, get a good job, retire from that job. And you expect to live off of retirement. But retirement is here. The cost of living is way up here. They don't match. So when you start to understand that, then you'll have an epiphany. Hey, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm sick and tired of trading hours for dollars. You know, I remember when I fired my boss, and I love saying that. I love saying that. I fired my boss. No, never will forget it. My last day at work was November 6, 2021. Excuse me. I fired them, and I remember having a conversation with my division chief. And he brought me in because I just tell the story real quick that they were trying to get me to do this extra course that was mandated by the Army that I refused to do. I had been refusing it for what 4 years, and it finally, I guess you could say, caught up with me because this was a different division chief. He brought me in and was like, "Hey, you know, where you at on this SEC course?" Well, I didn't do it. Well, why not? I see no need for that course. I went through all that stuff in the Navy. It's not going to put any more money in my pocket. It's not going to do anything for me except send me up to Leavenworth, Kentucky, you know, for the training. I don't want it. I don't need it. I said, I'm doing just fine. I said, I have one of the highest producing shops in our department. So why do I need that training? I don't need it. Well, you know, it's mandated by the Army. I get that. And so he basically, you know, hustled up on it or whatever, you know, and he was like, well, you're going to have to do it. Well, you know what, Ernie, I think this is about as good. I had my ace. I had my ace. Ernie, this is about as good as time as ever. I need to go ahead and let you know that I'm resigning. What? Are you serious? Yep, I'm resigning. Well, what are you going to do? Whatever I want, whenever I want to, and however I want to do it. I don't have to worry about coming in here for 10 to 12 hours a day and putting up with this BS, dealing with other people's problems. And I'll put it to you like this. The place where I worked at, it's called Corpus Christi Army Depot. It's a part of the Army, and we rebuilt and refurbished Black Hawk helicopters. I was one of the lead supervisors, painter supervisors over there at that facility. It employed at the time when I was there about 3,500, 4,000 employees, whole bunch of contractors, right? And, you know, this was an $85,000 job, so it was a good paying job. So I slapped him in the face and told him, you know, like I said, I had my ace up my sleeve, you know, as far as I walked away that day. Well, not that day, I had to wait, you know, I didn't want to leave bad blood or whatever, but the point is I walked away. That was in September when I told him that. By November, I was gone. So I just want to basically, hopefully motivate anyone that's listening to the sound of my voice, anyone that's over on the other side that's still having thoughts that, hey, this ain't for me, or you're still skeptical, will it work for me? Well, guess what? You don't have to worry about that simply because of what ILCA has done for myself, for so many others. And I mean, it just means the world. If once you get in this and you start to immerse yourself and understand the education, understand the knowledge that we have, then you'll start to see changes within your life. And with that, Brandon, I'm gonna hand it back over to you, brother. I appreciate you. I salute you. Much love.
All right. Give it up for Mr. Lofties. Thank you for sharing your story. And I think that's important for people to learn so that they can personally know and see somebody who has taken this crypto space and actually drastically changed his life. And he didn't just ride off to the sunset, because he can, literally. But he's turning around and taking time out of his schedule to come with you guys tonight and to support you guys and be a part of the community. And for all you nice smiling faces, Janelle, I see you back there. You got the camera on and everything. So so Provost is right. This is, when he talks about having a buddy, it is not just me. This is about the community. This is about all of us, and we all bring strengths and experiences and our background to the table. So as a whole, it makes us all much stronger. So thank you for that. So we're gonna go into our next. Oh, yeah, I got the owner of Get Fit trying to talk to me. That's right in the middle of our 5-day challenge. I cannot speak yet. All right. So we're going to go into our lesson for tonight. And last night we covered what is cryptocurrency. Tonight we're going to talk about the technology that makes it possible. What is the blockchain? What is the blockchain? So let me share screen. And one thing is important is that about 90% of the, am I sharing screen right? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yes, all good. 90% of the people out there involved in crypto do not know what the blockchain is. I need to double check this. Is the screen small for you guys? It looks good on my Facebook. Or does it look pretty good for you guys? Good? Okay. All right, all good. My computer's doing something different, but all good. So what is the blockchain? Like I said, you'd be surprised by how many crypto millionaires don't even know the answer to that question, but you will after tonight. So the blockchain. What is a blockchain? Well, a blockchain is a tamper-proof encrypted database secured by cryptography, which is the study of encryption, that acts as an accounting ledger, keeping track of digital assets. Instead of being maintained by a single server like traditional databases, blockchains are decentralized and maintained by a distributed network of computers around the world. This database tracks every Bitcoin in the network and each transaction since the very first Bitcoin. You can think of Bitcoin as an accounting system. Through the blockchain, it is a way of recording transactions and value digitally in an open and distributed self-clearing ledger. Now, that's the scientific term, what that means. Let's see if we could break this down a little bit more. Beginners to cryptocurrency sometimes hear the word blockchain and think that the term blockchain is synonymous with Bitcoin. However, this would be like saying the smartphone technology and Apple have the same meaning. The relationship between Bitcoin and blockchain is like the relationship between Facebook and the internet. Bitcoin is based on blockchain technology and could not exist without blockchain technology. Blockchain technology preceded Bitcoin, but blockchain technology could exist without Bitcoin. When you hear people say all the time, oh, Bitcoin is made up out of thin air. No, it's not. Just like Facebook is on the internet, Bitcoin is on the blockchain. Could Facebook exist without the internet? No. How will we access it? How would they push out content for everybody else or have a platform for us to go to without the internet? Facebook cannot work without the internet, and Bitcoin couldn't work without its blockchain. Now let's get a visual image in your minds. So picture this. There is a digital block that's created on the internet. Inside that block is data. For cryptocurrencies, text data of a list of transactions is in each block. For NFTs, text data detailing ownership of digital assets is inside of each block. Every time a new block is created, it is linked or chained back to the previous block. So you have a series of blocks full of data, all chained together to each other. In other words, it's just recording all transactions. And once that fills up, I could use Google and internet. Once that fills up, you can't take any more data. It's done. So that closes, and then a new block opens up that's empty. And then new data is added to that, and that's closed. It's kind of like with me, I do not save any information on my computer's hard drives. I use external hard drives. So for example, I have this one here. When this one fills up, I unplug it, set it aside, plug a new one in, and that starts to fill up. You have to think about the amount of data I have. I broadcast 2, 3, sometimes 4 times a day, and I record everything. I don't delete. And so I got to store them somewhere. So once one fills up, it's closed, and another one opens up. That's like the blockchain. Another way to visualize it is like this. Picture each block as a page in a book. The data inside each block are the words on the page, and the chain is the book's spine that holds all the pages together. There are various different cryptocurrencies, each with its own blockchain. For the blockchains of cryptocurrencies, the data inside each block is a detailed record of transactions involving that specific cryptocurrency. Basically, each block is one page in a digital ledger. Give you another way to look at this. If you have a bank account and you do online banking, and let's say like I was doing my taxes for last year, and as an entrepreneur, your taxes are done a little bit differently. Crypto is considered capital gains, but then I also have I get a 1099K, 1099B for my own business and my Stripe account. And then they want to know, okay, what about other when you have multiple streams of income coming in, you got to be done a certain way. So I was taking a list of all of my deductions, and I was going through my bank accounts for the previous year, and each month has a statement to it. And so on the website, I click January 2023. Everything pops up. Okay, then that closes. February 2023. That's another block. That closes. March opens up. That's a third block. That's all, and all that is doing is recording all of my transaction. It is a digital ledger, but that digital ledger is centralized. It is controlled by the bank. I access it by going to the bank's website and logging into my account. But what if we have a dispute, or the bank decides to freeze my account or terminate my account for whatever reason? It's lost, it's gone. I don't have access to it. The blockchain, however, is open source. It is not centralized, it's decentralized, which means more than one person has a copy of that ledger. In fact, every computer in the network has a copy of the ledger. So it can't be lost. It can't be frozen. It can't be manipulated. It cannot be changed or challenged. It's like writing in wet cement. And we're going to get back to that analogy in a moment. So how are new blocks added to the chain? In order to add a new block to chain, a complex math equation must be solved. So for those of you here, Bitcoin's made out of thin air. This is how Bitcoin is made. A complex math equation must be solved. For Bitcoin's blockchain, basically, somebody needs to guess a number between 1 and 4 billion in order to add a block to the blockchain. This requires a vast amount of computing power as well as some time, roughly 10 minutes per block on Bitcoin's blockchain. So If you have to use a massive amount of computing power, that means you have to have some computers or some computing software. You've got to put it together, program it. You've got to plug it in, and now you're paying for electricity. The average cost before the halving, I'm curious to see what it's going to be now, for one Bitcoin to be created is about $7,500 is what it costs the miners to create it. So fiat money, which is the cash in your hand, it doesn't cost the government anything. They can print as many as they want. Bitcoin, on the other hand, that actually costs in time, effort, and money for Bitcoin to actually be created. So I share that with you. So anytime you hear some clown say Bitcoin is backed by nothing, you can correct them and say, oh no, I think the fiat money is backed by nothing. Well, it's backed by the government, really. So we have to have trust in the government. And it's not even backed by gold. It used to be, we went over that last night, we got off the gold standard in 1971. So all we have is trust. Trust that the politicians, the Federal Reserve, and the President of the United States is going to make the right decisions on our money. How many of you actually trust that? I have proof. $20 today. Can you buy the same thing you did in the grocery store 20 years ago with that same $20? The answer is no. But we're supposed to keep trusting that as our value keeps going down. Are we working less hours on our job if the value of the money is going down? No, it's quite the opposite. We now have to work harder just to maintain what our lifestyle used to be like. And that's degrading every single day. Robert Kiyosaki even said it's foolhardy to keep money in a savings account because at the end of the year, you have less money than you did before, as far as value, as far as what it's worth. Billionaires don't have savings accounts. They have investments. They have stocks, bonds, real estate, property, art, not 401ks. They have precious metals, gold and silver, and they have now crypto portfolio to maintain their value, because money in a bank, you lose value. Read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki if you've never done that yet, and The Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki. The individual or group who guesses the correct number creates the new block and is awarded, oh, wow, I got to update this. This was in the old halving. It used to be 6.25 Bitcoin. Now it's half that. This process is called mining, but it really should be called something like creating a new block by guessing the correct number. Now, I was visiting my mom today earlier because she wanted to increase the amount of money that her Coinbase is buying Bitcoin for on a monthly basis. And you know why my mom came to that conclusion? She happened to be watching the news, and the news talked about BlackRock and Fidelity and the Grayscale, all these companies buying up all the Bitcoin. And my mom wisely said, you know, maybe I think I need to be buying more. So she asked if I could come over, and I already showed her how to do it, but she's scared. So I went over there. We went into her Coinbase account. I watched her do it. Said, go ahead, Mom, you can do it. And she did it. She just likes me there while she does it. But she did it without my help to increase how much she's buying. And she asked a question again about, because I keep hearing this Bitcoin halving, and it keeps talking about mining. What is mining? So I said, Mom, it's like, think about the gold rush. What happened during the gold rush? People had to run out and go west and stake their claim in land to mine for gold. You had to take picks and shovels and pans and wheelbarrows and dig and shafts to find the gold veins. I said, you understand that part, right? She says, yes. I said, it's the same exact thing, except it's being done digitally. Computers are mining for that digital gold called Bitcoin. So how are new blocks added to the chain? The fact that it is so difficult to add a new block makes it so that no one organization can ever add too many blocks in a row. It would be like the same person winning the lottery over and over again. The fact that blocks are so difficult to create is also the reason why they are so tamper-proof and immutable. So now we know what a blockchain is, how blocks are created, and what each block is filled with, a digital ledger of transactions. Are you familiar with the word ledger? And if you're not, that's okay as well. The world revolves around ledgers, but our educational system doesn't teach us about it. We have to learn about it on our own. You deal with ledgers every single day. When you go to the grocery store and buy something and they hand you a receipt, that's a ledger. When you open up your bank account and you're looking at all of your transactions, that's a ledger. Anything that you're exchanging money from one person to another and there is a receipt to prove that transaction, that is a ledger. To understand the significance of blockchain technology, we must go back in time and look at ledgers and their function. A ledger is simply a documented record of transactions. A blockchain is a ledger. Therefore, a blockchain is a documented record of transactions. Since the dawn of civilization, people have been trading things with one another. I Googled the dawn of my memory, going to the Compton swap meet with my grandpa. My grandpa, there's a lot of things he didn't believe in. Like one, he didn't believe in the banks. He didn't trust them with his money. And he never believed in paying full price for anything. He was the haggler's haggler. And at the Compton swap meet, you can do that. He even, what was the name of that market? I even saw him trying to haggle at the grocery store when I was a kid. They got a set price. He couldn't haggle that. He tried to. But he comes from a generation of where if something broke down in your house, there was somebody in the neighborhood that could fix it. If your car broke down, there was somebody in the neighborhood that could fix it. Your roof was leaking, somebody in the neighborhood could fix it. My grandmother had a garden in the backyard, and they would trade services. Yeah, I'll hook you up with this if you do this. Like bartering. Humanity wouldn't exist if it weren't the fact that humans traded with one another. Even before the invention of currency, tribes and early civilizations would often keep a record of who traded what with who. Dating as far back as 5000 BC in Mesopotamia, people used clay tablets as primitive ledgers to record transactions of crops and animals. Now that I think about it, was it really primitive? Because they put it on these clay tablets that cannot be erased. It cannot be changed. It cannot be manipulated with. It cannot be tampered with. It's like writing in wet cement. Once it's there, it's there. And here we are 5,000 years later, and we can still see evidence of their transactions. Ledgers such as these would also be used to keep track of debts owed. So it was important that they were kept in a safe place to avoid tampering or damage. Ledgers were kept safe inside of guarded temples and palaces, the first seeds of the first banks. How many of you love watching Game of Thrones? And then House of the Dragon, I think that's what it's called next. The next season's coming up this summer. I can't wait. In fact, I need to binge watch the first two again. House of Dragon. But in Game of Thrones, one of the running things is that everybody's fighting for the throne. The real power is not in that throne. The real power was the Iron Bank, not the Lannisters, not the what's the other family's name? Not Jon Snow's family, but none of those families had the real power. The real power was the Iron Bank, because the bank is the ones who financed the people in power. That's right, the Starks. The Starks were actually the poorest of the 5 families, but they held the most land. The Tullys, they were fairly wealthy. That one old lady, I forgot her, who drank the poison, her family was the second richest behind the Lannisters. And why were the Lannisters so wealthy? Because they sat on a rock full of gold. It was gold. But they had to process it and store it, and it all came back to the Iron Bank. Well, so in those days, there were no local bank chapters. The palaces held things. Even if you go back to the biblical days, when you hear the story of Jesus and his 12 disciples, his 12 disciples were not poor men. The whole point was that they had to leave their earthly possessions behind, give up their lifestyle to follow him. Fishermen, tax collectors, the wealthiest people during those times outside of the royal family were tax collectors or port masters. So imagine you happen to pull into port and you want to trade goods. The harbor master says you need to declare your items that you're going to sell. And he makes a list of everything, like you see on the bottom right. What is your list? And then when it's time for you to leave, you go back to the harbor master. He wants to check, how much do you have left? How much did you sell? And he marks that down, and then he determines how much in taxes you have to pay for the privilege of selling in their harbor. Now, this is where the idea of having to bribe people came from, because that harbor master could say, hey, if you don't kick me off a little cheese on the side, give me some cheddar, then yeah, I'm not getting away. I'm gonna charge you more. So you bribe the harbor master and make sure that he looks the other way on some things. Bribery was also considered, especially on the Silk Road, that was just the cost of doing business. You had to factor that in. Just like when it comes to crypto, any transactions you do, you have to factor in the cost of the gas fees. It's just part of the business. So if that harbor master didn't like you or found out that you slept with his wife or his daughter, he could really screw you over. And you have who's your recourse? Who could you say, no, that's not fair. It's your word against his. And he just can erase it. Again, that's where the bribery comes in. That's not a very efficient system. So later, banks took over the role of calculating and maintaining ledgers. They kept track of transactions as well as debts owed and kept these records and ledgers safe. Except at this point, people were using currency and no longer bartering with crops, animals, and other goods. I was just watching Lord of the Rings. They were on the Lake Men, and the guy was counting up all the fish in the barrel that was coming up, and they were arguing over, well, is it good fish? Is it bad fish? Is it worth it? Because they were smuggling in the dwarves. That's the old way, but you have no recourse. But now we've got these banks, and the banks enter our second ledger system. This is what we're all used to today. But the banks, can we really trust those? We actually don't have a choice. Well, my grandpa said, I'll just keep all my money in cash. Yeah, but what if the house burns down? What if your house gets robbed? Buried in the backyard? What if somebody finds out about it? It's not, you're in custody of your own money. That's a little bit of risky. So we utilize banks. When we work, we get a direct deposit. Our check goes into the bank. The bank charges us a fee for the privilege of holding our money. The bank charges us a fee when we want to move our money. The bank charges us a fee to put money in, to take money out, to let money just sit there. Charge. That's how they make their money. And then they take the money we give them and they loan it out to somebody else. They keep the profits on the money you gave them. Really? When you really sit back and think about it, I'm giving them money to make money on my money, and they're not giving, well, they give you like a cut. They give you some crumbs. It's not 50-50. But what if they don't make money on your money? 2008 happens. So after they screwed you over with your money, then they scream to the government that they're too big to fail, and the government bails them out with your tax dollars. Not a very efficient system. So for centuries, people have trusted banks to keep and maintain ledgers, records that people agree with the information in the bank's ledgers, and trust that the information is safe from tampering or damage. Because everyone agrees with the information in a bank's records, banks are often used as an intermediary for transactions between two parties. When you swipe your debit card at the grocery store and the point of sale terminal states that the transaction has gone through, the grocery store trusts that you've paid. The grocery store trusts your bank's records. So without trust, the system doesn't work. And then they give the business this point of sale device to make it convenient so that you don't have to carry cash on you. You use a plastic card. You use a plastic card for your transactions. And when you put it through that point of sale, it's telling the merchant, yeah, this account has money in it. We're backing it up. But they're charging you a fee to use the service, and then they charge the merchant a fee as well. What if you were able to eliminate that third party? But then you go to the store and say, you know, I bought these pair of pants. They don't fit. I want to return them. What's the first thing that they tell you? Do you have the receipt? The receipt is a copy that you made the purchase. No, I lost the receipt. Pull up the camera. You just saw me yesterday. Yeah, I know I saw you, but I need to have the receipt. You sold this to me. You helped me pick it out. Yeah, I know that, but I need the receipt. The receipt is the third party. And if there's ever any dispute, then you got lawyers involved. Then you got the court system involved. Everybody is getting a cut. That's how the current system works. So both parties involved in a transaction trust that the records of the bank are accurate. If the bank says the transfer has successfully been completed, then the buyer and the seller can both trust and agree that the money has in fact gone through. Here's another example in modern times today. I think this is going to be settled either tomorrow or sometime this week. But Donald Trump, for example, got an extension of 10 days to post bail, or not bail, bail on that $470-something million lawsuit against him. Not only did they give him 10 extra days, they said he only had to do 170-something thousand. So in that scenario, you go through a bail bondsman, right? Well, Trump chose an unknown bail bondsman group. And they're looking at the ledger, and the ledger's telling them, well, wait a minute, the company that Trump used is only worth $130 million. The bond is worth more than that company has in assets. So now the bond is being in dispute. So what do they have to do? They've got to go to court and go through all of this. And who's making all the money? The lawyers are. The only ones winning right now in the whole Trump stuff is the lawyers. They're getting paid hand over fist. How many of you guys watched that TV series, Suits? You know, I came in on that late, but I binged watched every season. And I realized these lawyers, they don't make all their money in the courtroom. They make their money on these contracts negotiations and all those billable hours. It's insane. Now I understand why my dad was pushing me while I was at Morehouse. You need to become a lawyer. He still brings that up every now and then. Now he's talking to my youngest son about that. He's like, do water law here in California. You won't go wrong. But what if you could eliminate those intermediaries? That is why a guy like Larry Fink from BlackRock is loving this space. How much money he spends on intermediaries, managing a $10 trillion asset group. So, but everybody's got to agree on this. When you swipe your debit card at the grocery store, the point of sale terminal states that the transaction has gone through. The grocery store trusts the bank records and you trust it as well. But what are the pros and cons of using banks and their ledgers? Banks add a level of trust and security to transactions. This is why banks have been around for hundreds of years. The downside to this is that banks and their governments have the power to monitor and control people's money, as well as put their hands in people's pockets with fees, especially when transferring money international and or converting fiat currencies. So the issue is, for centuries, we have been trusting banks to keep records or ledgers of who owns and owes what. But at the same time, we've been sacrificing some of our privacy, independence, and percentages of our wealth in fees. But what if there was a better way? What if there was some form of modern technology that could help us get the best of both worlds? What if we could have security, trust, while at the same time also have financial privacy and autonomy? We would need a secure ledger that everyone could trust and agree on, and that wasn't able to be controlled, interfered with, or manipulated by any person or institution. Enter blockchain technology. Blockchains, how are blockchains different from banks? Well, blockchains are distributed by publicly accessible and are distributed and publicly accessible. A blockchain is a digital ledger, but it is a ledger that everybody has access to, not just a privileged few, yet nobody can tamper with or control. Historically, ledgers and records have been centralized, locked up, and stored by one institution that has access and control. I just finished watching Manhunt, which is about John Wilkes Booth's assassination on President Lincoln. I can't say that. It's going to be a spoiler. All right, let me not say nothing. But there's an example there, a good example of records and record keeping and who is keeping what. My watch is telling me I need to stand. Yes, I'm on the get fit stuff right now. For cryptocurrencies, the entire ledger is out in the open and accessible to everybody. Blockchains are anonymous. When you look at the Bitcoin blockchain, you will notice that you don't see the names, email addresses, or any information about the sender and receiver. All you see are transaction hashes and wallet addresses. It is almost impossible to determine someone's identity based on these strings of random letters and numbers. This is the paradox of Bitcoin. Everybody can see all of the transactions, but nobody can see who is doing the transactions. Blockchains are decentralized. For almost every major cryptocurrency, nobody owns or controls the ledger, the blockchain. The blockchain is available for anyone in the world to see, no matter where they are. Having a decentralized ledger, plus the inherent security of a blockchain, eliminates the need for an institution, bank, or government to be the middleman. Now you understand why there's so negativity about crypto. Who's going to be the first to jump against this? Who feels the most threatened by this technology? Institutions, banks, and the governments. because this is something that they've been in control of for centuries. And now there's technology saying that the people don't have to use and trust them anymore. Of course, you can expect there to be resistance from the powers that be. Having a transparent, distributed ledger or blockchain means that cryptocurrency is open to everybody on the planet. An entire 31% of adults in the world, more than 1 billion people, do not have access to a bank account. But if they have access, but if they have access to an internet connection, then they can access cryptocurrencies. Blockchain blocks require majority agreement to be valid. So what makes a blockchain so secure is the fact that it is distributed. There are multiple live versions of each blockchain. If somebody is able to tamper with even one block on his live version of the blockchain, then everyone else will instantly see that it doesn't match up with the other live versions, and it will be discarded. As long as more than 50% of the live blockchain version or nodes agree on something, the versions that are different are identified as false and ignored. And this all happens very quickly. Blockchain blocks are essentially immutable. Every 10 minutes, a new block is created on the Bitcoin blockchain. The block is filled with data of recent Bitcoin transactions. The data in the block shows a list of wallet addresses that have sent Bitcoin to other wallet addresses, as well as the amount of Bitcoin sent. Once the block has been mined and the data is written inside, the block is closed and becomes added to the end of the blockchain. At that point, it is impossible to edit, modify, or remove that information. It's like writing in wet cement. And once the cement hardens, the information written will be there forever. The block is basically immutable, just like the 5,000-year-old tablets in Mesopotamia. Is it possible to hack the blockchain? Well, technically, yes. If one individual or organization were able to gain control of 51% of the computing power of a blockchain, then they would be able to double spend their coins. That means they could spend their coins, then delete that transaction and spend the coins again. To mount a successful 51% attack on a large cryptocurrency such as Bitcoin would require an astronomical amount of computing power, costing billions or tens of billions of dollars. In my opinion, there is only one individual on the planet who has the resources and is even crazy enough to attempt something like this. Okay, I'm looking at Facebook. There is a scammer who just created a Facebook profile using my name, and he just logged on. And when that happens, those people try to target all of you to send you direct information. So heads up, if you receive any information from me, that is not me. I'm telling you now, that is not me. But I see there is another Brandon Ivey who is on and watching and monitoring. So they're back. So I got to change my information after this. So I'm giving you guys that heads up now. But like I said, there's only one person on the planet who's got the money and is crazy enough to even attempt it, and that's Elon Musk. I mean, he was willing to drop 40-something billion just to buy Twitter so that he can post and say whatever he wants to say. Instead of just creating a new company. At least that's what Donald Trump did. He created Truth Social. Elon Musk said, I'm just going to buy the whole doggone thing out and then fire everybody. Now, why would he do something like that? Just to probably say that he could. But that's like spending billions of dollars just to change one block. And that block is only worth a couple $100,000. That just makes no sense, not even for Elon Musk to do. There are estimated to be over 1 million Bitcoin miners in the world today. And even if he were to do that, it would still be identified and tossed out. But he would have the bragging rights to say, "Oh, I broke into crypto. I mean, I broke into the blockchain. It cost me like $5 billion, but I did it." Because blockchain technology is by nature secure, anonymous, immutable, and decentralized, it's being eyed for other applications beyond only cryptocurrency. What about using a blockchain to cast votes in election? Oh, what's one of the most controversial things happening in America over the last 8 years or so? Trust in our own electoral system. We have a lack of trust in our own system. Now, I'm not going to say what's right or what's wrong or what I believe, because it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what I believe or what I say. It is what it is. People don't trust the system. I have a solution for that. Put voting on the blockchain. The blockchain can't be hacked. The blockchain cannot be manipulated. There's not going to be any dead people voting. There's not going to be animals voting. There's not going to be people voting 2 or 3 times in different sections. There's not going to be illegals voting. None of that stuff. It is complete and pure and fair. However, as democratic as that sounds, voting will be the last thing to adopt this technology, because both parties like the system the way it is. That's the truth. Every independent state and county, they all got their own election rules, and they like being autonomous in that. One county will do something, voting in one way, another county will do it in another, and each one thinks that their way is the best. And they don't want no outside force coming in telling them how to do it. So in my opinion, even though this would make it not only fair, but unchallenged, the result is the result. You can't challenge the result. It'll be the last thing on the blockchain. What about using the blockchain to keep track of medical data? That is revolutionary. We're one step there already. Let's say, for example, your phones are already coming with apps on your phones that is collecting all your data. Do you know cell phone companies, they don't make their money off of you paying a cell phone bill. They make their money off of collecting your data and selling it. That's why these devices are becoming cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. You know, a 72-inch big screen TV you might get for $1,000, $1,200. But you go back 20 years ago, 10 years ago, did they have those big TVs 20 years ago? That's a $10,000 TV. Cell phones, it's going to get to a point where they're giving away cell phones. In fact, they'll say, we will pay you for your cell phone so that they can collect all of your data. But the next thing is privacy. What are they doing with your data? What are they doing with it? Facebook got in trouble with that. What are they doing with that data? Well, the blockchain can make it private, meaning that even though it is on the blockchain, the records can only be accessed by whoever has the private key. Revolutionary. With GetFit mining, for example, we're now taking your physical activity, coding it into data, and putting it on the blockchain. So for those who say, oh, I'm afraid everybody's going to see my personal activity. No, all they see is the transaction of you being rewarded for your physical activity. Medical data, that is huge. You know, remind me, Ms. Casa, we're going to have another conversation because we always talk about things happen for a reason. And there's reasons why we were led to this health and wellness journey on Get Fit and tracking, because I was able to notice health on myself, with all these trackers, that I definitely need to pick up on my cardio and my blood pressure and getting my heart pumping more that's supposed to be. That had we not moved in this direction, I might not have caught it. Just yesterday, we had a scare with one of my cousins, 28 years old, just got married, had a stroke and a massive heart attack, and my mom was telling me that he was technically dead, and they had to revive him. Now, he's young, his body's bouncing back, he had 3 blood clots, and they were able to catch that and get him fixed up, and he will be back to 100%. But things happen for a reason. But this technology with this medical data, where my watch will let me know, oh, you need to drink more water, you need to stand. It's monitoring your vitals. This isn't new technology. The military has been using this type of stuff for decades. It is now commercial, and now the blockchain is taking it to the next level. What about using the blockchain to keep track of your supply chain, your food or other products? You can go to the grocery store, and at the grocery store, you see the fruit and vegetables. How do you know where it comes from? How do you know that it's legitimate? What if there was a QR code? You could scan it on the blockchain. You could see exactly what country it came from, when it was planted, how long has it been plucked from the ground, how long did it take to get to your grocery store. You got to be careful out there. All the food that they give us, the older I get, I got to watch, seriously thinking, I don't know if I can go as far as being a vegan, but I got to be more natural. I love my Wingstop. That's not going to change for a while. But the food that we put in our bodies is all tainted with stuff. I look at that ground beef and it looks all healthy, but you don't know they kind of spray painted it to make it look healthy. You don't know how old that is. So putting it on the supply chain, on the blockchain, using a blockchain to store authentic pieces of digital art, NFTs, using a blockchain to store personal identification information. Like I shared the story where my parents traveled to Paris. I don't know, maybe it was 10 years ago. I think they did this. And my mom calls me, it's like the middle of the night, in panic from Paris. I think it was like 3 a.m. for me. And they were talking about having to go down to the U.S. Embassy. Somehow either my mom got pickpocketed or lost her wallet, whatever, but to prove that she didn't have her, her passport, whatnot, and needed to get an emergency one. So she needed to have proof of her birth certificate. So I had to go to their house, go to we call it the go bag, the get out bag. You guys know what I'm talking about. And pull up her old birth certificate. It shocked me looking at it because it was, my mom was born in the 50s. Things were treated differently back in those days. And on her birth certificate, it said, Negro woman. I was like, Negro what? Or colored. But it was her birth certificate. And all I did was scanned it, and I faxed it to the American Embassy in Paris. And it took a while for that whole process, proof of identity and all that. But what if it was on the blockchain? Then that could have been recovered instantly and not have to go through all of that. What about storing important deeds, such as for land or a home? In South Africa, after apartheid fell and the government was doing a redistribution of land that had been stolen, here's the problem. The land that was stolen 150 years before means that somebody and their family lived on that land for the last 150 years. So you now want to go back and give the land to the original people that were there before that. Who owned the land before that? You might be able to pinpoint a tribe in one region, but how many descendants has it been since? Who actually has the right? That's like me and Marnita fighting over property from great-great-grandparents. I will win that because I'm the bigger and older cousin. But who's to say she doesn't have the same equal rights? She was talking to another cousin of ours about a family down in Louisiana and about them going down there and looking up old records to see, what was left to who and what and who did what. How many disputes do you have within family over property or inheritances and stuff? What if all of that is on the blockchain? Like my father, I was talking to him again today. We had no idea how much land my grandfather, he was like a little squirrel. He's got land all over the place. And it's killing my dad because he ends up, there's property tax. He's got to pay on land he didn't even know we owned. There's records of it. And my father being his son, then the rightful. But my grandfather didn't leave accurate records of all of his assets, or some got lost in storage and things like that. So we're finding out, and you know how we find out is the government sends a bill. You owe this for the last 10 years or so. Wait, what? For what? Oh, there's some land out in the desert somewhere that grandpa bought. And they found my dad, and he's next of kin and whatnot. But what if you put all of that information on the blockchain? You're good to go. I had moved several times since I bought my Bitcoin Mobile, and I just bought a new car earlier, what was it, last week. And they're like, well, do you have the pink slip and stuff on you? No. I got to remember, where did I put that? But they could get a digital record of it. But what if it was on the blockchain? So these are just some of the things on how, as I discovered in May of 2017, blockchain technology will disrupt every single industry on the planet. Whether you like it or not, believe it or not, trust it or not, understand it or not, give your approval or not, your opinion is irrelevant and not needed. This is going to happen, whether you like it or not. What we have to do is figure out, learn about it, and get ourselves positioned to profit from it. As a disclaimer, this information is intended for educational and training purposes only and should not be construed as investment advice. As with all financial decisions, you should contact your licensed financial advisor before investing in any financial instrument. And that, ladies and gentlemen, ends our lesson for day 2. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go into Q&A, and because Zoom or Facebook, I don't know which one to blame yet, because one of them's messing up, I will leave the streaming service online open for those of you on Facebook. However, you're not going to be able to ask questions like our VIP members are, but you can listen to see what questions they ask and how we answer it. So with that, thank you guys for being here. I'm going to turn it on over to Ms. Casa. So anybody that has questions for Mr. Lofties or myself, she's going to give you instructions on how to do that. So Ms. Casa, the floor is all yours.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. My son was in the kitchen making a lot of noise. Okay, so we have only three things that we ask of you. The first one is, please do not unmute your mic until you are called upon. The second one is, we do ask for only 2 questions unless we have time for more. And the third one is, there are no silly questions. So whatever is on your mind, please raise your hand and I will call on.
While they do that, I'm going to read here on Facebook, Darlene. This is I think Darlene's first time hearing our 5-day challenge. She said, I really like this blockchain. I buy all my groceries online. I am a pescatarian, fish only, plant-based, and my Chase Visa card literally has been hacked over 11 times since 2020. 11 times? Since 2020. I've had to pay Chase $5 each time. Oh, that's how they get you with all those fees. Each time for them to rush me my bank card in 2 business days. This is amazing information that you have educated me on tonight. Thank you, Brandon, and your team so much for all of your time and resources. I've made lots of notes too. I'm so grateful. All right. Well, thank you, Darlene. If we only reach 1 person, then that was worth it. All right. All right. So go ahead, Ms. Casa.
Okay, back to you, Mr. Ivy. I don't see
Well,
anyone.
since we had no questions, our guest panelist for Thursday night, Mr. Long, shot me over something he wants to share. So let me see here. Okay, yeah, that was that. Let's take a look at this. What do you got here? Oh, you made a video. You use the AI. Let's see.
What if all you need to create a video is an idea?
Wait a minute. Is that your video? Or is that the wrong one? Hold on. This one right here.
Imagine a train loaded with precious cargo chugging along a railway track. Each car of the train is a block, and the railway track, the blockchain. This train, with its cargo and track, is a simple yet powerful analogy for
I don't know if you guys can still hear me. Can you guys still hear me? Okay, hold on. This since I have Zoom going and this video, it may not play. And if I hit this button, it's going to close me down and shut everything down. So, Leonard, we're not going to be able to play it tonight. What I will do, I'll play it in Crypto Talk tomorrow morning, or you know what we'll do? We'll bring it back up on Thursday night when you talk. So we'll bring it back up. It's about the train on the track. Oh yeah, I use that analogy with my dad. The train on the track, because my dad asked, "What is the blockchain?" And I told him, I said, "Dad, think about trains. The train tracks, that's the blockchain. The train running on top of it, that's Bitcoin. You remove the train tracks, is Bitcoin going anywhere? Nope. But you can remove the train, that blockchain's still there. You can put anything on that blockchain. But yeah, we'll play this video next time, since the moment I hit this button, it's going to close me out. So with that, we'll go ahead and close for the evening. Thank you guys for being here tonight. I hope you learned something new. As always, that's the point. And wait a minute. If I stop sharing, yeah, you can see me here. There we go. Oh yeah, my computer is going to shut it down. So thank you guys for being here tonight. Tomorrow night, we're having Professor Oscar Sistrunt from Morehouse College. And I know he's going to be fired up because all he talks about is the Bitcoin halving. And we just went through the Bitcoin halving this past Friday. So I'm going to ask him, all right, we're in post-Bitcoin halving now. Tell me, what do you see happening? What's going on? What are your thoughts about it? And from there, we'll see. I'm curious to see what he does next. And Thursday, we have our very first time guest panelists will be Leonard. And then on Friday, we will have Miss Marnita Casa and a surprise guest with her as well on Friday. So with that, thank you guys for being here tonight. I'll see you on Inner Circle tomorrow morning and on our 5-day challenge for day 3 tomorrow night. Take care. Brandon Ivey out. Bye-bye.